Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. So, Friday, Kayla Montgomery was the one and only witness on the stand, and she's not done. We all knew it was going to be a lot of time on the stand. So she was up there for hours. And she ended up breaking early due to a headache. This is going to be part one. I'm going to try to do it in two parts. It's a lot. And then, of course, she's back on the stand again tomorrow. And it's like I said, it's a lot. But without further delay, here is the beginning of Kayla's testimony in the case against her soon-to-be ex-husband, Adam Montgomery.
Kayla, why are you currently incarcerated?
For perjury, for lying to the jury about the whereabouts of where I was and where Harmony was.
And when you say lying to the jury, was that the grand jury?
Yes.
Did you also lie to the police?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
Because I was scared, and I was told by Adam to stick with that story, that I got dropped off at work at Dunkin' Donuts, where I no longer worked at that time, and to say that he was bringing Harmony to meet her mother, Crystal, and that he dropped her off with her. And then when he came to pick me up from work, which I was not working there at the time, he didn't have her in the car, which that was a lie.
That story that you just told.
So pay close attention. Her story does kind of change a bit here. I'm curious if she's going to face any consequences for that, because part of her deal, her proffer with the state, is to tell the truth on the stand. And when I listened to this on Friday, I could tell that she was wavering on a lot of that. And again, I don't know what's going to happen, if that's going to rescind her entire deal or if they're going to take some of it back. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to handle that. And one last thing, keep an eye on how often she says, "because I was scared." Don't you think that Harmony was scared? Because I do. I think she was terrified of not only Adam, but I think she was also terrified of Kayla. And Kayla, who could have been the one person, well, there's also others, but as far as when they were just them in the car and the family, she could have helped Harmony at any time. She didn't care. She didn't care at all about Harmony, in my opinion.
That was what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
It's what you told the police?
Yes.
And was that in fact what happened?
No.
You said you've been sentenced for lying.
Yes.
You're living at the prison. Do you understand the consequences of providing false testimony?
Yes.
And since those lies, since your time in prison, have you sat down with investigators? Have you sat down with the Attorney General's office and provided additional statements?
Yes.
How many times?
About 4 times.
How many hours?
A couple hours at a time when they've came to see me, or I've gone out to the office to meet with them.
Did you reach a plea agreement with the state?
Yes.
And that was on the perjury charges?
Yes.
Other charges were dismissed, is that right?
Yes.
The story that you just told about the defendant dropping Harmony off with Crystal, who came up with that story?
Adam.
Why did you stick to it?
Because I was scared for myself and my children that are also Adam's, and for him, because I didn't want anybody to get in trouble and I was scared.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes?
Kayla, you referred to Harmony Montgomery just now. How do you know her?
She's Adam's daughter, and we started a year after we got together. He was working on getting custody of her, and he had to work to get custody of her. He wasn't just given her, and it took 4 years to get custody of her. And during those 4 years, we both visited her each week for a couple hours.
Was she your stepdaughter?
Yes.
Showing this witness what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 98 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Who's depicted in this image?
Harmony and myself.
And can you point to Harmony? And is there a date associated with this image?
Yes. July 7th, 2019.
And do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of Harmony on that day?
Yes.
Who's the other person depicted in that picture with Harmony?
Myself.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of you that day?
Yeah.
Do you know who took this photo?
I did.
Your Honor, at this point, I'd move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 98
Any objection? No objection.
and
All right.
publish.
The ID.
Again, she's scared and she's crying here. Keep an eye on how there's really no tears. It's all like snot, and I don't think I personally do not believe that she feels sorry for Harmony as much as she feels sorry for herself. But that's my personal opinion, because I don't believe Kayla is a good person. I really don't.
ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit, and it may be published to the jury.
Kayla, what were you and Harmony doing in this photograph?
We were taking pictures and laughing, playing. We always did silly pictures.
You mentioned getting custody of Harmony at some point. Do you remember when that was?
It was the month of February of 2019.
And where were you living when you got custody of Harmony?
77 Guilford Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
When you got custody of Harmony, was she potty trained?
Yes.
Was she potty trained after you got her or before you got her?
Before.
Did she have accidents when you first got her?
No.
Kayla, I want to turn your attention to July of 2019, so several months after Helen moved out. Were you still living in the Guilford Street home in July of 2019?
Yes.
And who was living there with you at that point?
It was myself and Adam and his uncle Kevin. And it was Seamus and our son Declan and Harmony. And his brother Michael and his girlfriend Kayla were still living there for a couple weeks until they moved out and went to Florida with her.
You mentioned this earlier, but where were you working at that point in your life?
I was working at Dunkin' Donuts.
Were you eventually terminated from your work at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was stealing money from the register.
Did you admit to stealing money?
Yes.
Did you actually write a letter acknowledging that you had stolen?
Yes.
Do you remember overhearing a conversation between Kevin and the defendant, Adam?
Yes.
What was the tone of that conversation?
They were arguing about a situation that happened with Harmony.
What was Kevin's tone in that argument? How did he sound?
He sounded angry.
Was this a quiet conversation?
No.
How would you describe it?
Yelling at each other back and forth. Argumentative. Yeah, it was just loud and angry.
Where were you during this conversation?
In the living room of the house in Guilford Street.
And where were the children?
Playing.
Did you understand what they were talking about?
Yes. I know that they were arguing about a black eye that Harmony had. That I was told that.
So the black eye that Harmony
Yeah.
had you seen that before that argument?
Yes.
And tell this jury where you saw that black eye.
On the
First
side.
time you saw it.
It was on the side of her face right here. It was really red. It didn't really turn black and blue until like the next day.
So the first day you saw it, when it was red, really red, how did you see that? Where were you?
I came home from work and I saw her face and it was red, and I was told that.
And let me stop you there. You came home from work.
Yeah.
So this would have been around 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
Did you have an understanding of where Harmony had been that day?
Yes.
And tell us where that was.
She was at home at Guilford Street
Who was she at home with?
with Adam and Uncle Kevin and Seamus and Declan.
And when you got home, when you saw this injury, the redness to Harmony's eye, did you ask the defendant what happened to her?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
That her and Seamus were playing and Seamus hit her in the face with the lightsaber by accident.
After you heard that confrontation between the defendant and Kevin, did you confront the defendant?
Yes, I asked him.
And at that point, did he tell you a new story about this injury to Harmony's eye?
No, it was the same. Well, yeah, he ended up telling me after
What was the new story he told you?
that he ended up hitting her in the face because she covered our son's mouth because he was crying and he was in the bathroom. He went to the bathroom. Declan was crying and Harmony had her hand over his mouth, and he came out of the bathroom and saw that, and his lips were blue, or purple blue, and he hit her.
Did he describe how he hit her?
He smacked her in the face.
Did he acknowledge causing that injury to her?
Yes.
Do you know a Demetrius Soros with DCYF?
Yes.
Did he come to the house after that interaction between Kevin and the defendant?
Yes.
Did you know at the time what the purpose of his visit was?
Yes.
What was it?
DCYF got called about the children not being taken care of, and that Adam was abusing his daughter.
When Mr. Soros arrived at your home, what did the defendant do with Harmony?
He left with her. He grabbed Harmony and left with her.
He grabbed her and left?
Yeah.
Did you have a conversation with Demetrios that day?
Yes.
In that conversation, did you cover for the defendant?
Yes.
Why?
Because I didn't want him to get in trouble.
Was there a period in 2019 when you no longer lived at the house on Guilford Street?
Yes.
And tell us how that came to be.
We ended up getting evicted from the house in November of 2019, the day before Thanksgiving, because the mortgage wasn't being paid.
Kayla, I asked you earlier about whether Harmony was potty trained when you got custody of her. And I believe you said she was.
Yes.
Did that change at some point after the eviction?
Yes.
And tell the jury about that. What happened to Harmony?
She wouldn't let us know when she had to use the bathroom, and so she was peeing in the car, just in her seat that she was sitting in, and she wouldn't tell us that she had to use the bathroom.
Was she only peeing, or was she having other accidents at the time?
She was also pooping.
How frequently was this occurring for Harmony?
A lot. Like, at least every day.
And did those accidents, did they increase in frequency the longer you were in that car?
Yes.
How was the defendant responding when she had these accidents?
Getting angry.
Would he do anything physically to her when she had accidents?
Yeah, he would smack her.
And what does that mean, that he would smack her?
He would smack her in the face, or on her leg, or in her hand.
Were these soft smacks,
No.
hard smacks, or something else?
They were like hurt, stung smacks,
What makes you say hurt, stung smacks?
because she would cry during, like, whenever she got smacked by him, and I could hear it, and it sounds like it hurt.
I'm sorry, you could hear the crying or you could hear the smack?
Smack and the crying.
When you say she was crying, who's she?
Harmony.
Those strikes, were they manifesting in any way on Harmony?
Yes.
How were they manifesting on her?
The more accidents she had, the more he would get angry, and he would hit her repetitively.
Was the defendant causing visible injuries to Harmony?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
And tell us about those injuries.
When he would hit her, she started getting black eyes and bruises on her face, on her legs. Yeah.
Did you ever see her bleed as a result of being struck by him?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you ever see the defendant attempt to cover Harmony?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors how he did that?
He would cover her with a comforter that we had in the car
Why would he cover her?
so nobody could see her.
How often would he cover Harmony?
All the time. Anytime that we had interference with anybody, no matter who it was.
Was this only when you went out in public, or was it when you were still in that parking lot, or both?
Both. Yes.
I want to turn your attention to December 7th of 2019.
Yeah.
Does that day stand out to you?
Yes.
Why?
Since the date that Harmony passed away.
First of all, Harmony didn't pass away, Kayla. Harmony was murdered. She was murdered by her own father. And as far as Adam covering her up, goes to show he's ashamed of what he did to her. And he knew he was in the wrong. All I could think of is this sweet little girl covered in bruises, and she never did anything wrong. She was put into a living situation with a monster.
The day that Harmony passed away?
Yeah.
Were you still living in the car at that point?
Yes.
Were you still sleeping in the Colonial Village parking lot?
Yes.
You mentioned Harmony having accidents and then becoming more frequent at that point. On December 7th, was she still having those accidents?
Yes.
And had they increased in frequency?
Yes.
Did Harmony have an accident first thing in the morning?
Yes.
And that would have been before you started your day?
Yes.
What happened when she had that accident?
Adam repetitively kept punching her in the head.
Okay. So I want to break that up. That morning, where did you wake up?
At Colonial Village.
And what happened first thing in the morning that morning?
We went to the methadone clinic.
And before you left for the methadone clinic, did Harmony have an accident?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do before you went to the methadone clinic? What did the defendant do to Harmony after that accident?
He was yelling and screaming at her and punching her in the head.
How did she react to that?
She was crying.
You mentioned the methadone clinic. Was that Habit Opco?
Yes.
And what did you do at the methadone clinic that morning?
Got my dose of methadone, and Adam got his also.
And do you remember who went in first?
No, I don't remember who went first.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes?
I'm just going to ask that you review the second page. And this page, paying careful attention to the times.
Okay.
The item I just handed you, what is that?
Our dose history from the clinic.
And that's Habit Opco.
Yes.
And having looked at those records, do you recall who went into the clinic first that morning?
Yes, I did.
What time was that at?
7:04 in the morning.
And what time did the defendant go in?
It was 7:09 in the morning.
Your Honor, at this time I moved to strike ID of State's Exhibit 89 and Marcus Full.
Any objection? No objection. The ID is stricken and entered as a full exhibit.
Kayla, can you tell the jurors what happened when Adam returned to the vehicle after his methadone treatment?
When Adam came back to the vehicle, he could smell urine, and he started yelling at Harmony and kept hitting her in the head repetitively.
Where were you when he smelt that accident? Where was the vehicle when he smelled that accident?
in front of the methadone clinic.
Did you discuss going somewhere with him at any point that morning? Going to get food?
Yes. I asked to go to Burger King.
You asked to go to Burger King.
Yes.
And so at some point, did he begin driving the vehicle?
Yes.
Was that before or after he repeatedly struck Harmony?
After.
What was Harmony doing at that point when he started driving the vehicle?
She was crying a lot.
She was crying a lot.
Yeah. And she was making a weird noise.
Was she saying anything?
No.
And Kayla, I want you to walk the jurors through in as much detail as you can what happened on your route from Habit Opco to that Burger King.
Adam was getting really angry from Harmony peeing in the car, and he repetitively kept punching her on the way to Burger King, and there were a couple red lights, and when we were at red lights, he would go over the driver's seat, like in between the passenger seat, and he was just punching her repetitively in the head.
You've said there were several times where he punched her repetitively in the head.
Yes.
How many times did he hit her?
I can't count. I don't know.
Were you counting?
No, I wasn't.
How many lights did that car come to where he repetitively struck her?
At least 2 or 3.
Between Habit Opco and the Burger King, did the defendant say anything to Harmony?
Told her to shut the fuck up. Stop crying.
You said she was making a weird noise.
Yes.
Can you describe it?
It was like, I can't even describe it. It was like a moaning kind of noise, but crying. It was just weird. I can't explain it.
Did you try to help Harmony while he was striking her?
Yes.
Tell the jurors what you did to help, to try to help.
I put my arm up and said to stop, but he looked at me and he gave me this look that was like evil. His crazy eyes. I didn't like it, and I couldn't stop him from hitting her, because the look that he gave me was scary. I was scared.
What were you feeling when he looked at you like that?
Like he was either gonna hit me or just, I don't know. It was weird.
So, Kayla, you're scared that he's going to hit you and come after you. So you stop trying to make him stop hitting sweet little Harmony because you feel like, well, she can take it and you can't. Yeah. You should have stopped him. Period. You could have saved Harmony. You didn't do a damn thing. You just cowered down to your, oh, I'm so scared of him. And just cowered and just didn't do a damn thing. So you are completely to blame, second to Adam.
And that was like one of the first times that I've seen him look at me like that.
Was it the last time you saw him look at you like that?
No.
And we'll talk about that more. But I want to focus on this drive. You said that Harmony's crying. She's making this weird noise.
Yeah.
Where was she in the vehicle?
She was behind the passenger seat.
And who was in front of her in that car?
I was.
You described the defendant almost coming over the seat.
Yes.
Was he still driving at that point?
Some, like, kind of. Like, between the red lights, and it definitely at the red lights. I remember that.
How was he striking her?
By punching her in the head.
Where were your other two children at that time?
In the back seat.
And what were they doing?
They had no idea what was going on.
I don't believe that at all. The baby may not know much. But the older child, he knew exactly what was going on. Guarantee you, he's going to remember that for the rest of his life. He's going to remember that his father beat his half-sister. And one day he's going to know and understand that he killed her.
How old were they?
Seamus was about 2.5, and Declan was 11 months old.
Did you look back at Harmony at any point?
No,
Why not?
because I was scared.
I get sick of her saying her excuse is because I was scared. I was scared. I'm a little person. I can't do anything to help. Kayla, put on your freaking big girl panties and be a responsible damn adult. Although I don't know if she knows how to do that. She's as much at fault for the murder of Harmony as Adam, as far as I'm concerned. No, she didn't kill Harmony, but she's as much at fault.
What were you scared of?
If Adam was going to say something, or if he hurt her really bad, it was going to look really bad.
You were scared of what Harmony would look like? That attempt to intervene, were you successful in that?
No.
Did he stop after that?
Shortly after that,
Shortly after that. Did he say anything to you when he stopped?
he said he thinks that he really hurt her. And he felt something.
At this point, I feel like feels sorry for herself. She feels sorry for Kayla. And if she does, let's say she has an ounce of feeling horrible that she let Harmony down. Still, she had many, many opportunities to help Harmony, and she failed her. She failed her at every single turn. I hope that she lives with these nightmares for the rest of her life.
When he said that he thinks he really hurt her, where was the vehicle at that point?
At Burger King?
At the Burger King?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do after he stopped hitting Harmony, after he said, I think I really hurt her?
Nothing.
Did you order food from Burger King?
Yes.
Where was Adam when you were ordering food from Burger King?
In the driver's seat.
Did you go inside to the Burger King or something else?
No. I don't remember going in there.
Did you go through the drive-thru?
Yes.
And so who ordered the food?
Adam did.
And what did you do with the food that he had ordered?
Ate it, gave some to the kids
Where were you when you ate the food?
in the parking lot.
How much do you want to guarantee that they didn't order a damn thing for Harmony? And they had her covered up with that blanket, that comforter, so that nobody could see her, and Kayla didn't have to look at this horrible thing that her husband had done to his own child. Failures of humanity right here. She's a failure of humanity.
Which parking lot?
Of Burger King.
Now, the kids were behind you at that point.
Yes.
Is that what you testified to?
Yes.
And who gave them food?
I did.
Did you see Harmony when you were giving them food?
No.
Why not?
Because she was under the blanket.
Who put her under the blanket?
Adam.
That's the same blanket that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
The same blanket he would cover her with?
Yes.
God forbid you'd have to look at what you've done to a sweet, innocent child, that he or you would have to live with what you've done.
Where did you go from the Burger King parking lot, Kayla?
Went back to Colonial Village
And how did you get there?
with the vehicle, Adam driving.
Was Harmony still under the blanket when you arrived at Colonial Village?
Yes.
And that moaning that you mentioned, that weird noise that she was making, was she still making it?
No.
How long did that noise that she was making last?
I don't remember. It wasn't. I don't remember. I don't remember if it was too long. I don't remember if it was after we were at Colonial Village for a little bit, or if it was before.
But that moaning, did it eventually stop?
Yes.
Did you check on Harmony at any point after the moaning stopped?
No.
Did Adam?
No.
Why didn't you check on her?
Because I was scared.
Freaking crap with the being scared. She makes me sick. She truly makes me sick. We already know Adam makes us all sick. She's also a piece of crap. She really is a piece of crap. And it makes my stomach turn that the state had to give her a proffer plea deal to hopefully kick Adam's ass and get him to be in jail forever, for life, because there's no death penalty in New Hampshire, and to pay for what he did to Harmony. It just makes me sick that this woman, she's a piece of crap. That's just the bottom line in my book. She is a piece of crap.
When you arrived at the Colonial Village parking lot, when you arrived back there, what did you and the defendant do?
We got drugs and got high.
When you say we got drugs and got high, what drugs did you get, Kayla?
Heroin and crack.
And how long did you use those drugs for in that parking lot?
We were there for probably 10 or 15 minutes.
Where did you go from the Colonial Village parking lot?
I don't remember where we were going, but I know we left.
You left at some point.
Yes.
And what happened when you left the parking lot?
We made it to the next street over, going towards Elm Street, and the car died when we got to the traffic light, and it wouldn't start or anything, and so we were stuck without a vehicle.
What was the defendant doing when the car died?
He was trying to get a jump, and there was no jumping the vehicle, and so we ended up having to leave it. And when we were getting out of the car and getting the kids out of the car, Harmony had passed away.
Let's talk about that. When you say Harmony had passed away, when did you realize that Harmony had passed away?
When Adam was trying to wake her up and she didn't reply or anything.
Was he saying things to her to try to wake her up?
Yeah, he said Harmony, and he kept saying baby girl, like, and trying to budge her, and there was nothing.
Was he touching her?
Yes.
What was he doing to her body at that point?
Trying to figure out what to do, and getting all the kids out of the car. He took the duffel bag that was in the trunk, and put her in the duffel bag.
You know, I hope it haunts her this entire day. This entire day. I hope it haunts her. I really do. But it's hard for me. There's some real tears here. But it's hard for me to believe that she's really sorry for what she did or didn't do at this point. And a side note, I don't believe for a hot second that Adam's going, baby girl, wake up, baby girl. Yeah, that didn't happen at all, Kayla.
You mentioned this duffel bag from the trunk.
Yeah.
Had you seen that duffel bag before, Kayla? What was it used
Yes.
for?
When we got kicked out of the house, we put clothes in there for everybody. And it was in the trunk of the car.
Did you see him put Harmony in that duffel bag?
Yes.
How did he put her in there, Kayla?
He, like, folded her in half and put her in the double bag.
Did he call 911 at any point?
No.
Did you?
No.
And when you saw him put her in that duffel bag, did you attempt to get away, to run?
No.
Why not?
They had the two other kids, and I was scared.
Scared of?
That something would happen to me or Adam and the kids.
You said you saw him put her in that duffel bag, fold her up and put her in there.
Yes.
What did her face look like when you saw her go into that bag?
It was all black and blue, and her face was puffy. Her eyes were puffy.
Did he say anything to you after he put her in that duffel bag?
I don't remember.
What did you do after he put her in the duffel bag?
We took the kids and we walked back to Colonial Village.
What did you do once you arrived at Colonial Village?
Put the bag in the snowbank so Anthony wouldn't see it.
I'm sorry, so that who wouldn't see it, Kayla?
Anthony.
That's Anthony Badero.
Yes.
Where was the snowbank that you put? And sorry, let me clarify. Who put her in a snowbank?
Adam.
Where was that snowbank that he put her in?
In the embankment from the parking lot.
What was around that snow embankment?
A dumpster.
He put her in a duffel bag, folded her in a duffel bag. They walked back to the apartments, put her in the snow by a dumpster. Every single thing, it gets worse. It's horrific enough what Harmony went through. But to hear every single thing that was done to her after her murder, it really makes my blood boil. It really, really does.
And cars and snow.
And you said he put it in there so that Anthony Badero wouldn't see.
Yeah.
What did the defendant do after he put that duffel bag in the snowbank?
Left her there. And we got a ride from Badero to get the stuff out of our car.
And where was your car at that point?
It was at that street. We ended up leaving it, and when we came to the car, it was already getting towed.
So Mr. Badero gave you a ride back to your vehicle?
Yes.
Were you able to get belongings out of the vehicle?
Yes.
And who did that? Who got those items out?
Adam and myself.
That vehicle was your home at the time.
Yes.
What did you do after that in terms of a shelter?
Badero let us sleep in his car for the weekend until I figured something out.
Just for the weekend?
Yeah.
Is that what you had asked him for, or is that what he said, just for the weekend?
That's what he said.
And what kind of vehicle did Mr. Badero have?
An Audi.
Do you remember what color it was?
Blue.
Was it a car, a sedan, or an SUV?
A car.
And I want to talk about the time that you were living in that car that weekend. Where was Harmony's body at that point when you were living in Mr. Badero's vehicle?
In the trunk of the car.
And did the defendant ever move it from the trunk of the car to another location?
Yes.
Where would he put it?
Near the dumpster.
Why?
So Anthony wouldn't see it.
Was it cold outside at the time?
Yes.
You mentioned snow. Was there snow on the ground?
Yes.
Did something happen to the vehicle that first night you were staying in Mr. Badero's car?
Yes, the battery died.
What did the defendant do when the battery died?
used somebody's phone and called Miss Frayne.
Is that Kimberly Frayne?
Yes.
Are you aware of him communicating with any other people regarding the dead car?
Not that I remember.
At that time, did the defendant have a Facebook account?
Yes.
Do you know if he had a Facebook account?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
But you recall a call to Miss Frayne.
Yes.
And what happened after that call?
She showed up with a battery pack jumper to jump the car.
Was she successful in jumping the car?
Yes.
And what were you doing while that was going on?
I was in the car with the kids,
Where was Miss Frayne?
outside of the car with
Where-
Adam.
I was going to ask, where was the defendant? Where was Harmony at that point when the car was being jumped?
In the trunk of the car.
What did you and the defendant do for food during your time in Mr. Badero's car?
Bodero bought us pizza and brought it down to the car.
You mentioned being there for 2 nights,
Yes.
and the first night the battery died.
Yes.
When was the pizza given to you?
I think it was the next night. Because he did give us food. For a couple of dinners, he gave us food. We had the pizza and stuff like
Could you repeat that, please?
a couple of nights we got pizza.
And did you leave Mr. Badero's vehicle after that weekend?
Yes.
After those 2 nights you left?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors where you went?
I went to my aunt's house,
And what's your aunt's name?
Kimberly Simmons,
Where did Miss Simmons live at the time?
in Manchester.
Was she on South Main Street?
Yes.
And how did you get to your aunt's home?
Bodero dropped us off.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
So that first one, what's been marked as State's Exhibit 25 for identification, do you recognize what's depicted on that item?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what it is?
It's the apartment that my aunt lived in.
That again is on South Main Street.
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of your aunt's apartment?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point I move to strike ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 25.
Any objection? No objection. The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
Now, Kayla, when Mr. Badero dropped you, the defendant, and your 2 children off, where was Harmony's body?
In the duffel bag.
And who had that duffel bag?
Adam.
And what did he do with that duffel bag when you got to your aunt's house?
He placed it under the porch.
And you pointed at the exhibit just now. If you could just hold it up and show the jurors where you're pointing.
Right here.
Can you show me where you pointed? If you can take a look at it, Exhibit 20, 26, and 27, what's been marked as ID for 26 and 27. What's depicted on those 2 items?
The porch. Up close.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of your aunt's porch?
Yes.
Is there a difference in the 2 photos?
Yes. 27 has measuring tape looks like.
And Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark as full States Exhibit 26 and 27.
The ID is stricken, they're entered as full exhibits.
And I move to publish these for jury hearing.
You may.
You mentioned the defendant putting Harmony's body in a duffel bag under the porch.
Yes.
Your Honor,
Yes.
this is the porch that he put her under.
Yes.
Did he go into the home that day, into your aunt's home?
Yes.
How long were you there for, Kayla?
A few hours, because we were trying to figure out where to go.
What was the purpose of your trip to your aunt's home?
To talk, so that she could talk to my mother, so that she'll let us stay at her place.
What's your mother's name?
Christina Lubin.
So if I understand, you wanted your aunt to talk to your mother.
Yeah.
Did you end up seeing your mother that day?
Yes.
How did you come to see her that day?
She came to pick us all up, myself, Adam, and the kids, the two boys,
Where was Harmony at that point?
in a duffel bag.
And how did your mother pick you up? How did she arrive at your aunt's home?
She came in her van.
And what happened to that bag that Harmony was in when your mother came to pick you up?
We put it in the van.
And when you say we put it in the van, who put it in the van?
Adam.
How long did Harmony's body stay in the van?
Probably about 5 to 10 minutes.
Was it in there while you were traveling somewhere?
Yes.
Where were you going?
To my mother's place.
Did the defendant keep Harmony's body in the van?
For the drive, yes.
What did he do with Harmony's body when you arrived at your mother's home?
He took it out of the van and put her on the side near the trash at first until he figured out where to put her.
And what did he figure out in terms of where to put her?
There was a cooler in the hall walkway that the residents used to get in and out of the building, and it was on my mom's floor level in the hallway. And he put the he put the duffel bag in the cooler.
And what was in the duffel bag at that point?
Harmony.
So he removed her from the trash and he put her in this cooler.
Yes.
Her body was still in the duffel bag at that point?
Yes.
May I approach her?
Yes, you may.
And may I read the news?
Yes, you may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 28 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
What is it?
That is the cooler that was on the porch of my mom's hallway.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the cooler?
Yes.
That's what it looks like?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 28.
No objection. Right, the ID is stricken, it's entered as a full exhibit.
And I move to publish.
Yes, you may.
I find it hard to believe that Kayla's mom never inquired as to what was in the cooler or never looked into the cooler. I just don't believe that. I believe she either knew what was in there or she had a bad feeling, if nothing else.
Kayla, how did Harmony's body fit into this cooler?
Adam pushed it in the cooler so it would fit.
Is that something you saw him do?
Yes.
Were there any noises when he did that?
Not that I remember.
How long was she stored in that cooler for?
For a couple weeks.
And how long did you stay with your mother for? How long were you with Christina Lubin?
For a couple weeks.
Did her body stay in that cooler for the entire time you were with your mother?
Yes.
Why?
I honestly don't know.
How often did you see that cooler when you were living with your mother?
Every day. Multiple times a day.
Where was the cooler kept?
In the hallway.
Was that your mother's hallway, or was it?
It was access to everybody who lived in the building, but it was on the level of my mom's apartment.
And tell us about that hallway. What else was kept there?
I don't remember.
Were there other items in that hallway?
I don't remember.
Where did you go after living with your mother?
To the FIT shelter, Families in Transition.
And when you moved to the Families in Transition shelter, is that FIT, the FIT shelter?
Yes.
When you moved to the FIT shelter, where was Harmony's body?
Adam put her in the ceiling, in the vent of the room that we stayed in.
What room did he stay in while you lived with the Families in Transition shelter? The Families in Transition shelter, Kayla?
It was the first room. It was room 1.
And how did he access the ceiling to store her in there?
He climbed, used the bunk bed and climbed up in the ceiling.
Was there something that allowed him to access the ceiling that was above that bunk bed?
There was a vent.
And who slept under that bed?
The kids.
Where did the defendant sleep?
We all slept on the floor on the mattresses.
So, Kayla, I'm showing you what's been previously marked for identification of States Exhibit 30 through 34. Can you please look at each of these items in turn and describe what's depicted in them?
This is the outside of the family shelter.
And that's States Exhibit 30.
And this is the door to room 1, and next to it is the second room.
And that's Exhibit 30.
This is the room.
I'm just going to ask to move it a little away from the microphone. Thank you.
And when you say this is the room, whose room was that?
It was the room that we stayed in.
And that setup, the way the room is set up, is that similar to how it was when you lived there?
Yes.
And that's States Exhibit 32. Let's go to States Exhibit 33. What is depicted there?
The vent above the bed.
And what happened with that vent?
Adam moved it so he could go in the ceiling.
Now, did you ever touch that vent, Kayla?
No.
And States Exhibit 34?
It's the vent.
Are those fair and accurate representations? Is that consistent with your memory of what those items looked like?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 30 through 34.
Any objection?
Only through 34.
Okay. All right, the ID is stricken. Those are entered as full exhibits and may be published to the jury.
And so, Kayla, I'm holding up what's been marked, or what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 30. What is this item? What is depicted here?
The outside of the family shelter.
And how long did you live at this shelter for?
A month and a half almost.
And State's Exhibit 30? What's depicted in this image?
The room that was the one we stayed in was on the left side, room 1, and the other room is the second one next to it.
So you stayed in room 1,
Yes,
and you mentioned room 2 being beside it.
yes,
And State's Exhibit 32 and 33. You mentioned that this was consistent with what the room looked like when you lived there?
yes,
And those are the bunk beds that you mentioned.
yes,
And you said you could see the vent that was used in these images?
yes.
And can you remind the jury what's in State's Exhibit 34?
That's the vent that he climbed up to and put Harmony in the ceiling.
When you say he climbed up to put Harmony in the ceiling, who is he?
Adam,
At the time you were living at the Families in Transition shelter, was there anything going on with Harmony's body? Was she having any changes? Or was her body having any changes?
yes.
And I want you to tell the jurors what those changes were.
You could smell a horrible smell that was coming through the vents.
Do you remember that horrible smell?
Yes,
Did maintenance come at some point while you were living there because of that smell?
yes.
And what happened when those maintenance workers came?
Adam took her back down from out of the ceiling and brought the bag in the bathroom.
And what happened when Adam brought Harmony down from the ceiling?
That she was starting to smell and there was fluid leaking.
So you smelled her. And did you see the fluid?
No, I didn't see it.
How do you know about the fluid that was leaking?
Adam said that.
What did he say?
He said that there was blood up in the ceiling and fluid.
And so what did he do with that duffel bag containing Harmony after he removed her from the ceiling because of maintenance?
He put her in a trash bag.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 52 for identification.
Yes.
Kayla, do you recognize the item that's depicted in this image?
Yes.
What is that?
The CMC diaper bag.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the CMC diaper bag?
Yes.
And how about State's Exhibit 53?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation
Yes.
of the item that's depicted?
Yes.
And what is that item?
It's the bag that Adam put Harmony in.
So you mentioned garbage bags that he put her in.
Yes.
What did he put those garbage bags into, if anything?
He put the garbage bags inside that bag.
So, Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike ID, strike what's been marked as ID and mark as full States Exhibit 52 and 53.
An objection?
And I move to publish, sorry.
52 and 53, the ID is stricken. They're entered as full exhibits and they may be published to the jury.
Thank you. Kayla, how did Harmony's body fit into this bag?
Adam squished her in it.
I'm sorry, can you say that a little bit louder?
Adam squished her into the bag.
Kayla, I'm showing you it's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 85. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Is this similar to that CMC bag?
Yes.
Is it in fact identical to that CMC bag?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point I move to strike the ID of States Exhibit 85 and mark as full and publish to the jury.
Any objection?
No objection.
The ID is stricken. It's entered as full exhibit.
So the defendant put Harmony into garbage bags and he squished her into a bag like this one?
Yes.
And this again was at the Families in Transition shelter.
Yes.
Where did he do that to her?
In the bathroom of the room that we stayed in.
Were you in the bathroom with him when he did that?
No.
Did you hear anything when he was doing that to her in the bathroom?
I heard a loud bang.
Could you see what was going on in there?
No.
You mentioned the defendant stuffing Harmony into the duffel bag
Yes.
at that intersection in the car guide.
Yes.
And then you mentioned him squishing her into this bag.
Yes.
Did she fill that bag, that CMC bag that you just saw?
Yes.
Her body filled that bag?
Yes.
And what did he do with the bag after he put her in there?
He put her back in the ceiling.
You mentioned being at the Families in Transition shelter for a month and a half.
Yes.
During that time, did the defendant begin discussing disposing of Harmony, getting rid of her body?
No.
At some point, did he begin discussing disposing of Harmony, getting rid of her body?
Yes.
And what was his plan? What was his idea for getting rid of her?
To use lime. And dismember her.
What did he believe that lime would do if he used it on her body?
Speculation unless it's fixed.
Did
The objection is sustained. So you can rephrase the question, please.
did the defendant tell you what he believed lime would do if he used it on Harmony's body?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
That it will help decay her body.
That it would help decay her body?
Yes.
Did he tell you what he believed dismembering her would do?
No.
But he told you that that was his plan?
Yes.
So I'm going to put this probably at least in two pieces, two parts, because it's a lot. It is a lot. And this is Sunday evening as I record this, and I'm getting this up this evening on the channel here. And this is very hard to listen to this testimony, and I wanted to take a break for most of the weekend to just take a break from this case, because it's a tough one, and it's a tough one for everyone. It really, really is. And I will remind you to, whether you're watching it here throughout, or you're watching it on another channel, you're watching it through Court TV's live streams, replays, Law and Crime, wherever you're watching or getting your information from, just please take care of yourself first. It's very important. We're all for these victims, and we want justice for Harmony, and in what she went through, and all the things that happened after her murder are just so horrific that it's very difficult to hear. So again, just take care of yourself first, and if you can't finish, while you're watching the streams, or while you're watching here, totally understandable. And I'm hoping to cover, like I said, just to go through some of the key parts. And obviously Kayla's testimony is very, very, very important, regardless of the fact that I dislike her immensely. So I want to make sure to get her entire story here. So I will continue that Monday, and then we'll have to play catch up a bit with the testimony. But again, I appreciate you guys always. I always appreciate you checking out the channel, watching and supporting the channel here. It's all about these victims, and this one is about justice for Sweet Harmony. And we've been waiting for this since we heard about this sweet girl, and I pray every night. I pray that this girl gets the justice she deserves. Thank God she's been in a wonderful, wonderful place since her father killed her. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.